Last Wednesday. Holy shit! My day got started off as usual. I got up, I let the dogs out, I made myself coffee, I sat down on the couch, grabbed my cell phone, scrolled through social media, and I turned on the news, or at least the stream for the news on YouTube, because we don't have regular TV. And I wanted to see what was gonna happen with the electoral votes being counted. For many days and many weeks leading up to this event, people were talking about how big things were gonna happen, and they seemed to be happening, but they seemed to be relatively cool and easygoing. There were some people crowded up on the lawns, and I thought, okay, it's happening, it's going down, they're doing their thing. But then eventually they announced on the news that the Capitol is being stormed. Now, at first I thought they're just probably exaggerating, as the news media tends to do, but, and a big but, sure as shit, they were actually storming the Capitol. And I was just sitting there staring at the TV like, wow! I cannot believe it. That was crazy shit. But what stood out most to me was the guy dressed in the furs and the horns. He looked like he just came from a cattle shagger cosplay convention. And as we've been finding out more and more about some of these characters, it turns out that the cattle shagger cosplay guy is a 33-year-old failed actor that lives with his mother. Which goes to show that these Trump supporters do in fact have some things in common with Antifa. Then there was a woman who seemed completely shocked and confused about why she got maced. She said, like, nonchalantly that they're here doing the revolution. She seemed absolutely perplexed why anybody was there trying to stop her from storming the Capitol. There's this video of her.
Ma'am, what happened to you?
I got maced.
You got maced?
By the police.
And what happened? You were trying to go inside the
Yeah,
Capitol?
I made it like a foot inside and they pushed me out and they maced me.
What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Elizabeth. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And why did you want to go in?
We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution.
Thank you.
You're here to do the revolution and all you came armed with was a bath towel? Not very smart. Another thing that's not very smart is giving your name and where you're from just to make it easier for the authorities to find you. Although maybe she was smart enough to not give her real name and location, but judging from the activities she just finished participating in, I kinda doubt it. There are also claims that she was holding an onion inside of her bath towel that she rubbed into her eyes to make it look like she was crying. Now, looking close up, yeah, that maybe could be an onion, but obviously we weren't there, we can't know for sure, although naturally there are a bunch of idiots talking like they know for sure that it was an onion. There were even further claims that this whole thing was not Trump supporters at all. Some are claiming that it was Antifa dressed as Trump supporters that committed all of this. But it's pretty obvious that it wasn't Antifa. For one, they were successful in getting into the Capitol, and two, nothing was set on fire. That right there should be more than enough to say, no, it wasn't Antifa at all. And as dumb as Antifa people are, they are smart enough to know that when you go out to commit crimes and set things on fire, you cover up your face and you don't tell people recording videos what your name is. But I do kind of feel bad for the people that stormed the Capitol. I mean, imagine that you're the one that does all of the organizing, all of the planning, all of the staging, all of the traveling to the location, all of the hard work. You're the one that does it just for somebody else, and not just anybody else, but your staunch rivals to get all the credit. Imagine if after the United States dropped atomic bombs on civilian targets in Japan, England got on the horn and said, oh, that was totally Russia. Actually, they wouldn't say it like that. They would be more like, "Oi! That was totally Russian, mate." No, that's too Australian. "Oi! I reckon that was Russia." I don't know, maybe that's better. You tell me. I doubt it. But whatever, that's not important right now. And it's even funnier because the people that are saying that it's Antifa are also on the same side of the Trump supporters. Parler, the social network, was pretty much filled with half the people saying that it's Antifa and the other half people posting pictures of themselves saying, "Hey, look, this is me at the Capitol." But the real juiciest bit of all of this was Kevin Sorbo. Now, I know most of you might not know who Kevin Sorbo is, but back in the day, Kevin Sorbo starred in a TV show called Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, which I absolutely loved. I don't know if he's done anything since then. I just see him pop up here and there, but his little story right here is pretty hilarious and juicy. At 10:27 a.m. on Wednesday, he tweeted this in response to another tweet talking about the Capitol being stormed. Later that morning at 11:17 a.m., he tweeted that history was being made. At 12:16 p.m., he tweeted a warning for the Trump supporters not to act like Antifa and respect the police who are mostly on their side. Then finally, at 1 p.m., he tweets that it was actually Antifa. Right. I mean, talk about having a total break with reality. You're like, yeah, go, history's being made. And then, you know, when you realize that everything was a failure and they definitely screwed up, he's like, oh, that was totally Antifa. Come on, Kevin Sorbo. Don't be like that. Kevin Sorbo once played the strongest man alive, and now he's just some... But it wasn't all fun and games because 5 people did end up dying. There was the woman that was trying to climb through a window, while on the other side there's a man standing there with a gun pointed right at her. Somehow that didn't clue her in that I probably shouldn't be doing this, or I should turn around and go back because there's a man with a gun pointed at me. Anyways, he ended up shooting her. She got hit in the neck and she later died in the hospital. And I don't celebrate death. Like, I mean, I wish that woman had made better choices in life and she didn't end up dying. But unfortunately, that's not what happened and she is dead. Along with a police officer who died 2 days after the raid on the Capitol. He was beaten with a fire extinguisher and 2 days later he died in the hospital. Terrible for him. Now, I'm not a fan of the police, but I don't wish death on them. I don't wish death on anybody. Actually, that's not true. I do wish death upon a guy named Paul from the 3rd grade. This one time, he stole my pencil, and it was like a really cool mechanical pencil, and he took it. And I knew he took it, but I couldn't prove it, so fuck you, Paul! Woosa. There were also 3 other deaths that were attributed to medical emergencies. People whose health just wasn't up to par for doing a revolution. Even a lackluster revolution such as that one. But again, I don't glorify death. I don't wish death on anybody. I wish, just like the woman, that those people made better decisions in life and they were still alive. But that is one way to tell that whatever it is you want to call it that they did is made up of mostly boomers. Out of 5 deaths, 3 of those were attributed to medical emergencies. In the midst of all of this, Donald Trump pulled off a social media banhammer hat trick. He got banned not on 1, not on 2, but 3 social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, initially, they were just temporary bans, but then later, Twitter banned him permanently, and Facebook and Instagram said they would ban him until the transition of power was complete. But I don't know if they're going to change their minds. Of course, now, since then, since Wednesday and those initial bans, so many other social medias and even Spotify have banned him. But this whole banhammer business got me a little curious, and I decided to look up what other notable people have been banned from Twitter permanently, and I found a list that showed permanent and temporary bans. Now, it was mostly made up of well-known figures or even some celebrities, but there was this one guy, this one unknown guy, just a regular guy from Japan who got banned for this reason. Making death threats towards a dead mosquito got this guy permanently banned from Twitter. What? All this storming of the Capitol, the social media bans, the 5 deaths, the arrests now being made, and for what? What did any of this accomplish? Nothing. Nothing was accomplished. Was there any sort of plan past getting into the Capitol? I mean, did they plan on stealing the electoral votes, or did they just want to get in there to make TikTok videos? And the media calling this a coup does seem a little bit far-fetched, considering that the people that came in there were mostly armed with cell phones and one pair of horns. You need a whole lot more than that to pull off a genuine coup. It was definitely not a coup. It was more like a hootenanny. Also, despite a myriad of people having pretty much free reign on many parts of the Capitol, not one of them took the initiative to take a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Even though they managed to get to Nancy Pelosi's office and get in there, there was one guy photographed sitting there. They could have so easily taken a shit on her desk. Although in other parts of the Capitol, they did find feces smeared all over the place, which I suppose we'll just have to do. Now, I understand that a lot of people don't like Donald Trump for his indiscretions, whether real or imagined. But just think, without Donald Trump, we would never have had the word Kavifi. That would make me bigly sad. The loss of that word would be huge, tremendous. Joe Biden has given us a lot of gaps, but nothing so brilliant and well-rounded and perfect as Kavifi. However, Joe Biden has given us an important message, and that is that
poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
He said it, not me. So if you're going to get angry at someone, I'm not the right person. But it is what it is. Joe Biden won in a secure, free, and fair election with absolutely no fraud. His claim, not mine. And if this election was so secure, the next one will probably be even more secure. Remember that in the event that Joe Biden loses the next election. Especially remember that if he loses to Donald Trump or someone else you equally hate. An election can't be secure, free, and fair only when your candidate wins. In 2016, the Democrats embarrassed themselves with all the talk about election fraud and Russian interference, and then in 2020, the Trump supporters embarrassed themselves with the same talks of election fraud. If election fraud only exists when your candidate loses, that's a sure sign that you are full of shit. So help break the cycle of hypocrisy and send me $7 on Venmo.
It's a revolution!